Okay. All right, guys. Here we are. Training camp is starting very, very soon. A lot of people are excited. Well, the mini training camp with the rookies, that part is over. But the actual training camp with all the vets, that is starting soon. In fact, as we speak right now, veterans are coming in. There's already some posts out there about Harrison Butker arriving for training camp. And that's about all we have seen. So a lot of people are keeping a very close eye on Chris Jones. Is he coming? Is he not? I think in the next couple of hours, if not, maybe some people are going to hold off to see what happens tomorrow or Sunday, whenever the first practice is. But if people don't see Chris Jones today showing up at St. Joe, I think people are going to be concerned, and understandably so, because we've been told for quite some time that Chris Jones is going to get a deal done, and that the Chiefs are optimistic that they can make this happen. And that's part of the reason why DeAndre Hopkins is waiting to sign. Well, DeAndre Hopkins signed on Sunday, and the Chiefs still don't have a deal done with Chris Jones. So what does that mean ultimately? And I've been trying not to really think too much about that right now, because I don't think that's honestly a concern whatsoever, unless Chris Jones does not show up for day one of training camp. If he's not there for day one of training camp, yeah, I would start asking questions. Would not hit the panic button yet, but I would start asking questions. Obviously, the Chiefs are not going to answer any of those questions, because the unwritten rule with all these coaches is that they will only talk about the players who are at camp. If they get asked questions about a player that's not at camp, they're going to essentially be declined an answer, or they'll give a very vague little answer about that player that is not at camp. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm anticipating to happen, because people have been asking me, hey, any update on the Chris Jones situation? I don't know what's going to happen. People have been asking me, do I think he'll be at camp? I have no clue. I really don't. Your guess is as good as mine. If you asked me about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would have said yeah. Especially with all the reports from Jeremy Fowler. I think there was someone else from ESPN and also NFL Network reporting that the Chiefs were optimistic that this is going to happen, and that they've been in close contact with Chris Jones. So I've been holding out hope for that. I've been kind of leaning on the optimistic side that it is going to happen. But here we are. We're kind of at the 11th hour. It almost feels like the UFC weigh-ins. I don't know if any of you guys have watched those UFC weigh-ins where, there's only 15 minutes left and you're waiting on that last main event fighter to show up to make weight. And then you learn that there are some concerns as to why they're not showing up on time to make weight. This kind of feels like that right now, because there's some people right now on Twitter who are doing a Chris Jones watch and want to know exactly, when he's going to show up. No one has the answer right now, but Harrison Butker appears to be the first one who has shown up. It looked like he kind of had a little comment towards the media, nothing snarky or anything, but looked like he was there and made some comments. But I don't know. I'm just not sure. And I maybe Harrison Butker is pretty damn early right now. I don't know when they're anticipating for the veterans to show up exactly at what time, but everyone's keeping an eye on that right now, because Harrison Butker, the first player to show up, as the Chiefs tweeted on their social media, it appears there are some people in the media who were there. So that is the Chris Jones watch is on. It is officially on. People are wondering where he is, when he's going to show up. All of that is basically being looked into right now. So we'll see what happens. While we're waiting for potentially some updates, by the way, this is not going to be a very long live chat, but I do want to, while we're waiting during the duration of this live stream, maybe talk a little bit about a story that Mike Florio has been pushing for quite some time. And it has to do with Patrick Mahomes and the fact that he's been on this train that Patrick Mahomes does not have a good contract, and that things are going to change. He published a story a few months ago that Patrick Mahomes is expected to be the number one paid quarterback before week 1 of this season. Guys, keep in mind that 12-year total contract they did end up being they added on 10 years to it. They for Mahomes last year of his rookie deal, they kept that the same. Plus, they also picked up his 5th-year option. Then they added the 10 years after that 5th-year option. So when you want to look at the 10-year portion of the contract, we've only finished year 1 of that 10-year extension. So I don't know, with 9 years left to go in that deal, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is in any hurry whatsoever to get a deal done right now. I don't. Listen, if this was like a situation where, he's not getting in any endorsements, if players were not getting endorsements, outside of football, yeah, I can maybe understand Patrick Mahomes doing that kind of thing, but I just don't see that happening. And he has said on multiple occasions, he is not interested whatsoever in trying to get the biggest deal right now. He's just not interested. He said that for more than a year now. I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten about that too. So to me, the way I see the whole Patrick Mahomes thing panning out, I think Patrick's just going to let it play out itself for several years. Look, he signed a 10-year extension. This guy is getting a shit ton of money. I remember Forbes did a story about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, about the amount of money Mahomes is making just from endorsements alone. He's making around 23, 24, 25. I mean, I'm giving you ballpark numbers, not exactly sure the exact number, but he's making around 24, $25 million from endorsements alone annually. And look at some of the new deals he got. Walmart. He just signed with Walmart for the first time. And I think the first commercial we saw from Walmart was the night of the ESPY Awards. And they've been airing that quite a lot in the last week. In fact, Mahomes has been tweeting about it quite a lot in the last week. So I'm sure that is a pretty big... Walmart's a huge corporation. I was looking up the other day, and I forgot the number. Let me... Give me a sec. How much does Walmart generate a year? According to some economic media websites out there, according to Walmart's annual report, the company earned around $613.3 billion in the fiscal year 2023, which means that every day it generates an average of approximately $1.6 billion. So, yeah, I'm sure Mahomes is. I'd be very surprised if it's not more than $10 million, because that's how huge Walmart is compared to all the other sponsorships he has with Subway, State Farm, Coors Light. Walmart is, I mean, they are one of the mega businesses in the United States of America. So if it's not 10 million, I would anticipate it being very close to that. My point is, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is knocking on Brett Veach's door right now and is saying, hey, you got to make me number 1 by week 1. I mean, so what if Kyler Murray's making more money than you? And I think, we've got to be, real. Let's think logically here. Let's look at Patrick's contract right now. Because if you want to look at his cap hit for 2023, it's at $39.6 million. Do you think a quarterback who may not be top 5, despite being the best quarterback right now in the NFL, do you really think Patrick Mahomes said, hey, Brett, $39.6 million ain't enough for me? Hell no. Listen, he's making a lot of money off the field. His wife is generating a lot of money from sponsorships online. They're not struggling whatsoever with any of that stuff. So I'm pretty confident that Patrick Mahomes and his family, they are not in. And I think even his mom is making money online, because I see her promoting events on Instagram, and I don't think she's doing that for free. I mean, listen, I don't know what Jackson's doing right now, considering he's under investigation. But before the sexual assault story came up, I mean, the guy for sure was making a bunch of money from TikTok alone. So this family, I mean, even when you talk, okay, forget about him and his wife and his kids. Like, yeah, okay, you will obviously want to take care of your parents, your siblings, all those people. I mean, those people seem like they're in a good place right now. They really are. And by the way, I know a lot of people mention his dad and that he played pro sports before, so he has money. He didn't make that much money playing baseball. He made around $2 million in 9-10 years. Patrick made more in his rookie year, benched behind, well, not benched per se, but behind Alex Smith, making what, $4 million, and he made more than his dad did his entire career. So I mean, listen, they weren't massively rich before Patrick got drafted, but I don't think they were struggling for money either before Patrick's entrance to the NFL. Okay, so this is a very interesting question here. Did he agree to take less to the lesser salary? See, no one really knows, because at the time when Mahomes signed the contract, it was considered one of the biggest contracts in pro sports, certainly the biggest in NFL history. But you look today, Patrick Mahomes is criminally underpaid compared to all the other quarterbacks that are getting paid right now. You look at the top 10 quarterbacks, and I don't have that in front of me. Let me top 10 paid quarterbacks for 2013. Or no, not 2013, 2023. You want to look at the average annual salary per year. You look at the top 10. Number one is Lamar Jackson. Lamar freaking Jackson, who's only won one playoff game in his life. He's got $52 million coming in this year, on average. Jalen Hurts signed a huge deal right before Lamar Jackson, $51 million. I don't know. Here's the thing: like, Jalen Hurts just had a phenomenal season, and he was kind of up there with Mahomes for the MVP talk until he got hurt. I still think it was going to be Mahomes anyway, because his touchdown and yards numbers were bigger, but Lamar Jackson has only won one playoff game. Jalen Hurts just went to a Super Bowl. How is it in today's world, in the NFL specifically, Lamar Jackson can demand more money than Jalen Hurts? I'll never be able to comprehend that. But to my point earlier, and I've said this many times, it's not that hard to get what you're asking for in the NFL. It's really not. You want to be top 5 paid? Well, they might just give it to you. Look at Charvarius Ward. He left the Chiefs last year for the 49ers. He's not a top 10 paid cornerback, but he's just outside of the top 10. I don't know if I would consider Charvarius Ward someone who's even close to the top 10, but he's getting paid almost top 10 money at that position. So, and by the way, I'm trying to give you the top 10, and I just went to the first two to make a point there, with Lamar Jackson at $52 million, Hurts at $51, Aaron Rodgers in his first year with the Jets making just a little over $50 million, Russell Wilson making $48.5 million. So far, that is not working out at all. Kyler Murray got off to a solid start with the Cardinals, now just absolutely awful at $46.1 million. Kyler Murray, the 5th highest paid quarterback. And the Cardinals are anticipated to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. You have Deshaun Watson making $46 million. Then Patrick Mahomes comes in. And again, this is average. They're looking at all the averages per year at $46 million or $45 million for Patrick. But if you look at his exact number on Spot Track, that's not what he's going to make. He's going to be making $37.6 million. Josh Allen, number 8 behind Mahomes. Number 9 is Matthew Stafford at $40 million, and Dak Prescott also at $40 million at number 10. So you look at just the numbers right there. Yeah, see, a lot of you guys are talking about the Ravens being desperate and Lamar Jackson not being able to fit. The guy has missed 5 games each of the last 2 years. And I know someone made a point, well, what about Deshaun Watson? He also missed 10 games due to injury. We're obviously not including the off-the-field issues, because that was not an injury-related problem there. With Lamar Jackson, first of all, Deshaun Watson's injury was years ago, his rookie year, if I recall correctly. He missed the second half of his rookie campaign, which he was doing really well with the Texans that year. So when you look at the Ravens, yeah, I'm sure desperation was a part of it. But man, listen, there's just a ceiling with Lamar Jackson. There just is. And if you watch the games, you see the Ravens might be good enough to get into the playoffs. They might be good enough to win a division, maybe get a number 1 seed. They got a number 1 seed once with Lamar Jackson, but their playoff record with Lamar, I think, is 1-3. And listen, I thought Tyler Huntley put up a pretty good fight against the Bengals. If he does not fumble at the 1-yard line, that might be a whole different ballgame there, because Joe Burrow did not play his best game, far from his best game that night against the Ravens. So you look at the way the NFL is structured, and Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he is underpaid. If you have Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray making more money than you, you're underpaid. But Patrick doesn't care about that right now. So to circle this back to my original point, what Mike Florio is trying to push, I have no idea. I really don't. And I really wish he would stop with it, because, man, it's like, listen, I know Florio, his past conversations with the Chiefs kingdom is not great. He obviously had a very strong stance against Tyreek Hill. Listen, I did also. I did not think the local media would put a one-sided audio like that. And when I realized that was the case, I owned up to saying, hey, I spoke too soon about that. Listen, I still remember the night when KCTV5 aired the audio the way they did. Nobody thought twice about, well, okay, maybe 1% of Chiefs fans online, but a lot of people were done with Tyreek Hill after that. People were concerned. Like, I remember hearing the audio and thinking, boy, this is hard to listen to. But when the additional information came out, a lot of people said, okay, look, maybe we all spoke to, even Brooke Pryor, who I know was not very well liked among fans here. Even she kind of looked at the story and said, yeah, we should have had the full audio from the start. But people like Mike Florio refused to look at any of the additional evidence there. So listen, he had that. Then he made that weird comment in the Super Bowl before the Chiefs and 49ers played, where he was insinuating that the 49ers should consider, he was entertaining the idea that the 49ers should illegally hit Patrick Mahomes near the sidelines when he goes out of bounds, kind of like what happened with Joseph Osai in that AFC Championship game. He was entertaining that kind of idea to possibly hurt Mahomes in the Super Bowl, so that way the 49ers can increase their chances of winning. And it's just like, what are you trying to say there? What are you suggesting? Are you suggesting the 49ers should intentionally get penalized but hurt Mahomes in the process, and that therefore it'll be worth it? Like, the things he has said, his interactions with Chiefs fans have been extremely weird. And then today, just trying to push this narrative that Patrick Mahomes needs to get a new deal. This is a horrible deal for Mahomes. Folks, if Patrick Mahomes and his agent, Lee Steinberg, if you don't know who Lee Steinberg is, and that's okay, I don't expect a lot of people to know, but if you don't know who Lee Steinberg is, Google Lee Steinberg, okay? He is one of the best NFL agents out there. I know in terms of the top NFL agent, Drew Rosenhaus probably gets the most coverage out there in the media. Lee Steinberg is right up there with Drew Rosenhaus. He's helped create some of the best contracts in NFL history. So if Patrick Mahomes and Lee Steinberg had any issue whatsoever with that deal, they would not have signed it. Here's what I hate, not just in sports, but in politics and entertainment, whatever. Whenever we talk about people who are in the public eye, so many people want to speak for other people, even though they've never had a conversation with them. Like, Florio is trying to speak for Patrick Mahomes and is trying to explain to us football fans, that this is not a good deal for Patrick and that he deserves a better deal. Well, who are you to say that Patrick Mahomes is in this position where he wants better money? Like, I don't know who anointed freaking Mike Florio as the guy to determine whether Mahomes is happy or not with his deal. I've just never been a fan of people doing that kind of thing, especially in the media. I hate when people try to add their own narrative to a story, one that never happened or that doesn't exist. But yeah, that is kind of the society we are in social media. Listen, the term fake news, yeah, it gets thrown out there so much based on false comments on social media and you see someone with a decent following listen, if I came on here right now, I've got a solid following online. If I wanted to, I could make up a story right now and it would probably get some traction. Look last year, that article or whatever you want to call it, that blog post about Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Look how much attention that got. If it was a positive story, well then, nobody would care. But because they had a negative, and by the way, they took that down because they got a lot of backlash, a lot of things that not add up. They made it sound like Mahomes had a microphone in his helmet talking back to the coaches. A lot of things in that story did not add up, so they took it down immediately, and it was debunked quickly by the local media. Soren Petro, I mean, that dude, like, if you want to talk about murder on a radio station, Soren Petro just debunked that in 1.5 hours. I mean, he spent that much time going through the exact article, the entire article, word for word, pretty much refuting all the claims that they were making. Yeah, he does get a lot of deals from endorsements, Elaine. Yeah, like this guy's not in any hurry whatsoever to get a new contract from the Chiefs. Yeah, this is a good point, Brandon. And I had Lee Steinberg on my podcast years ago, and he said that exact same thing right there that you just said, that, one of his goals is when the top clients he has, his goal is to make sure that those guys are taken care of with endorsements, not just during their careers, but after their careers. Listen, as long as Mahomes just stays cool, stays chill, just relaxes off the field, doesn't get into any trouble, yeah, he's going to get a lot of endorsements for years to come. You're seeing Tom Brady continuing to get his thing. Peyton Manning obviously doing very well. Tony Romo is getting some deals out there. So yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say Mahomes will follow the path of those players I just mentioned, and he's going to be set up even after his career. If Mahomes wanted to do nothing but just sit at home and chill with friends, family, yeah, he can do that. He might get a call from Coors or from State Farm or from Walmart for the rest of his life to do spots, and he'll be taken care of. Like post-retirement, Patrick, and listen, that's years away from now, but Patrick's going to make a lot of money. It's hard to project, with our economy, right now he's making $23-24 million a year, somewhere around there annually from endorsements alone. In 15 or 20 years, when Mahomes is probably going to retire around then, what is that number going to look like? That's kind of a scary thought, but not scary for Patrick Mahomes, that's for sure. Him and his family for sure loving that. Let me quickly go back to Twitter, excuse me, and see if there's an update on players arriving. I don't see anything on here. Let me just quickly look at my phone. I got 2 phone calls during this. Yeah, got two phone calls during this live stream, of course. Let's get rid of that. I don't need that. That is spam. Got a lot of spam on the voicemail line. I'm one of those people, like, if you call me and I don't know the number, I am not answering. I think a lot of people do it that way now. Plus, you never know with all those like political ads. If you answer, even if you respond to the text messages where it says text S to stop, my fear is if you respond with S, they're going to be like, oh, this is an active number. We will follow up with a different number. I mean, I never answer any of those things. Ignoring people, that's the best way to go about it. So yeah, we don't have any updates. Yeah, no updates from training camp right now. So I'm probably gonna hop off in a couple of minutes, and we'll see what happens. I'll definitely follow up and post on social media and let you guys know what happens here. Look, I have concerns too. If Chris Jones is not at, if he is not seen reporting for camp, and if he is not at the first practice this weekend, yeah, I'm starting to ask questions here. I'd be very concerned for this. Here's what I will say right now: if If Chris Jones is not at camp today, if he has not seen showing up to, get to his dorm room and all that stuff, I'm not going to lose sleep over that. But if he's not at the first practice this weekend, that is when I'm going to start raising questions. I'll still make a note of it today that he was not seen reporting to camp. Again, I'm going to stay level-headed through that. If he's not at the first practice, that's when we need to start having a conversation. And here's the thing. I don't even know what that conversation is going to look like. I'm certainly not going to jump into the, hey, should we trade Chris Jones? A couple of you guys have been asking me that lately. I don't think Chris Jones wants it to come down to that. I know he tweeted once that he's a Chief for life, but you just never know. At the end of the day, it is a business and these guys need to do their thing. And you look at the ESPYs. I forgot to mention this too. Chris Jones was at the ESPYs, and the first person he thanked on the mic was Brett Veach, and a lot of people were pretty optimistic that night that a deal would get done on time. So far, nothing yet. Listen, I remember several years ago, Jamal Charles did not show up for a day and a half. He got a new deal. He showed up. Now, I know that's not the greatest example, especially when you look at the running back position right now. But my point is, there was a situation where one of the best players for the Chiefs, Jamal Charles, did not show up on time, and he ended up coming about a day and a half late. So I think, if day one, my concern level will start, but it's going to stay very low. If we go, let's say 3 days without Chris Jones, my concern level is gonna go up. So hopefully it doesn't come down to that. If you guys are asking for my prediction, what I think is going to happen, I have not a single clue. Your guess is as good as mine. I hope he's there on time, obviously, but I just don't know if that's going to be the case. So that DeAndre Hopkins signing, I think that raised some eyebrows. A lot of people were wondering, wasn't he going to wait for Chris Jones? Well, here we are, July 21st on a Friday evening, still no deal. So maybe the Chiefs just told Hopkins and his agent, they said, hey, look, we know you're waiting on us. Realistically, we don't see this happening anytime soon. We don't want to hold you back anymore. If you want to go sign before camp, we're just going to let you know maybe that's the route you should take. And I think, that's just kind of that honesty that you have to provide to these players whenever you're trying to, because if a guy like Hopkins is waiting for Chris Jones, and if that deal is not going as well as they would like, then I guess you gotta, in the interest of fairness, right? You gotta let Hopkins know, buddy, we're held up on this. We can't make any progress. You might need to move on. I'm speculating. I don't know. Listen, I know Brett Veach is gonna do some media availability soon. And there are going to be a lot of questions surrounding Chris Jones and a little bit about DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know how much he's going to entertain questions about the Hopkins situation because, again, the unwritten rule is you don't comment about players who are not on your team. But the Chris Jones one, again, the unwritten rule, you don't comment about players who are not at practice. So in this case, there's probably not going to be a lot of questions answered. There might be a lot of questions that get asked. Whether they get answered or not, we have to wait and see. All right. I appreciate all of you guys who joined me for this Red Friday live chat. Decided to keep this one short and sweet. Let's see, man. I'll keep an eye on this as the night goes on. I'll certainly be posting, and hopefully we get some good news. If not, I'm sure there will be a lot to talk about. All right. Enjoy your Friday night. I'm out of here. Peace out.